You can go fuck yourself. I'm sorry, guys. That's not the way to introduce ourselves. Hi, guys. This is not a real talk or anything. I'm just fulfilling the prompt. I put a gun in Renegade's head and basically told him to read a creepypasta.
You'd be lying if you said you're fulfilling a promise.
Ooh, you know what? Not even. So he picked out. We both picked it out, really, didn't it?
No, I want to choose the one that was based in Alabama.
Wow, that sucks. But anyway, he's going to read this creepypasta, and we're going to talk about it when it's done. We'll probably give it a rating or something. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Am I allowed to interject with questions?
Not until after it's done.
Yes, master. I'm sorry for saying anything like that, master.
You're going to be one of those rude-ass students in class. Teacher trying to educate people. Then they ask a question. Son, sit the fuck down. I'm going to get to that soon. I would love if a teacher just told them dumb motherfuckers to sit the fuck down. Anyway, I guess what are we doing?
You're reading the creepypasta called The God Ticket, and we're going to talk about it when you're done.
Okay. This creepypasta is brought to you by Smoothie King because it's delicious.
Wow.
Smoothie
really?
King.
On my fucking video. Just seriously. Yes, Smoothie King is fucking delicious, but they ain't paying me.
Oh no, who the hell you talking about? Not about you. Anyway, this is The God Ticket, rated 8.3 out of 10 by a cast of 555 votes. So, here I go. My wife is going to kill herself in 5 to 7 business days. I'd found the order or the jug of Xanafril while clearing the internet history of porn. I was contemplating it now. I'd known my wife was happy, but I guess I hadn't registered how much yet. Was this a cry for help? Did I say something or just let it fade into the background noise, like all of her other passive complaints? Are you ever coming to bed? Her voice bridges on a shout, causing me to start and close the browser window from habit. A shout. Her deafness is still in full swing, I think to myself. Cindy had been diagnosed with a rare form of Meniere's disease shortly after we'd married 2 years back. What had started as uneasy moments of vertigo and mild hearing loss in her right ear had quickly erupted into extreme ranges of deafness that would come and go randomly, sometimes affecting her for weeks at a time. Worse still were her falling attacks. I'll never forget the first time she'd experienced one. We'd been waiting in line for hours outside the Latin Theater, shivering and keeping close to ward off the first snowflakes of winter. I remember she'd been talking on her cell phone when just like that she collapsed into the street as if she'd tripped. But we hadn't been moving. It scared the Christ out of me. I thought she had suffered an aneurysm or stroke or even been shot. Understandably, these periods of outrageous vertigo and difficulty hearing the words from her own mouth were deeply frustrating for her, and I tried my best to be supportive, but it was taking its toll. I turned to look at her sullen face. I feel guilty to admit it, but I can hardly stand seeing her when she's like this. A wise man once said that sadness is a disease. I'd go one step further and say that it's of the infectious variety. After years of putting up with her, I could go for a handful of those pills myself. You're just closing down now. I shut our laptop and slip into bed next to her. She immediately turns on her side, facing away from me. Guess no sex tonight either. Huh. And here I had my hopes up, I think bitterly. Just as well, and I read somewhere that if a man goes without long enough, he'll start having crazy kink fest dreams. I can go for some of that. Bring on the Asian schoolgirl, minus the tentacles. But my subconscious wasn't interested in playing house. I used to be into exploring all shades of mental awaking, from failed attempts at telekinesis to lucid dreams, and what I'd like to call the God ticket, astral projection. The ability to travel anywhere at will. It'd be years since I'd given it any thought until the depressing reality of Cindy's illness had become more and more apparent. I was never able to successfully leave my body, but controlling the storyline of my nightly encounters provided a welcome escape. That was until they took a noticeably violent and uncontrollable turn. It takes me a moment to realize where I am, and when I do, my stomach clenches horribly. I'm at the university, and those eyes looking into mine, Suzanne's, my ex's, as is common in dreams. I know there are other people around us that were walking to class inside the LR Harrison building, in fact, but I don't see anyone else. I feel them looking at us, but it's just her and those accusing eyes. And then the events flash forward. It's raining, and we're standing under the tree together. I'm hugging her from behind and singing a song about what we're doing. Her arms lovingly press mine to her chest, and she looks up at me again with an expression of betrayal. You said we'd be together forever, right? That you love me past the stars. Her words form a knot in my throat. I had said that after all, even meant it, but then Cindy had come along, and oh, how much better things had looked on that side of the wall. Now there was regret and the awful if. I want to tell her I'm sorry, that I still love her, but I'm having trouble making coherent thought, and it doesn't matter anyway because Suzanne's hair is practically wow glowing in the light of the moon. She's face down on the cement, and dear God, there's so much blood. I look at the palm of my hand and find it bleeding from some deep slash. She cut me. I think indistinctly, but there is no pain. I feel my body kneel over hers, turning her over. Her face is untouched and as beautiful as ever. If not for the oozing gash at the top of her hairline, she opens her eyes again, and I can see it. The pain, the question. Why? I scream my lungs ragged, but not a sound escapes my lips. I want so desperately to call for help, to comfort her, but everything feels different, distant, and I'm not allowed to stop my hands from closing around her throat.
The fuck?
Yeah. She's gone. She's goes. She's goes.
She goes on.
It says
She
she's.
no, yeah,
She
she goes.
goes
Yeah,
on.
that's weird. Go ahead.
She goes on, struggling for a few moments, never leaving my gaze when I do the unthinkable. My body leans forward, my blonde hair cascading over her face, and at first I think I'm going to kiss her forehead, when instead my lips close around her right eye. Confusion explodes into horror as I feel every muscle in my mouth contract. Pressure builds inside the seal of my mouth until I can feel something round and wet pass from her body into mine. This shouldn't be possible. I want to vomit. I want to run away. I want to vanish in a torrent of sobs for my lost love. Then I bite down hard and I open my eyes. Sweat coats me in a glaze, even though the ceiling fan is running at full cycle. Our room is dim with the first light of morning. Jesus Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. What was that about? Not daring to speak above a whisper. It had felt so real, even now, as the distinctly dreamlike elements began to stick out like accusatory fingers. Accusatory. Accusatory. Interesting. I still feel the high from the a liter of adrenaline pouring through my veins and consider calling her just on and off chance that I'd subsequently sucked the vision out of half of her face. This, though, calms me when I realize how stupid I'm acting. Besides, what new kind of depression would Cindy be thrown into if she caught me thinking about my ex, let alone talking to her again? No, the relief wouldn't be worth another crack in our marriage. I, I roll onto my side and caress my wife instead. Her skin is as cold as a frosted window. My eyes fly open, and it's her, Suzanne. I immediately leap from the bed, taking most of the blankets with me. Dear God, it's actually her. She's naked, her body's frozen from rigor mortis, in the same pleading position I'd left her in. For a moment, I stand there, unable to fully comprehend what I'm looking at. What have I done? When my eyes stop on her face and her missing eye, what have I done? What have I done? The words leave my chest in heaving barks. I've done it. I've actually murdered someone. You spent your whole life reading and watching movies about people doing the exact same thing, and now you're a killer. I rub my eyes at tears that refuse to appear, and what do I do now? The guilt comes in torrents, as if from the beats of some ghastly heart I could hide her. I'd have to live with the guilt for the rest of my life, but I could hide her for now. My Suzanne, I'm so sorry. I crossed to her side of the bed, taking in her beauty for the first time since the last time I had seen her in 2 years ago. Since 2 years ago. If not for her awkward pose, the dark patches of skin where her body meets the bed, and the empty half-lidded socket of her eye I'd stolen, she passed for a dead body. I wish I could say that she looked like she was sleeping, but that'd be cruel. There is no elegance in death. Above all else, the unnaturalness of the sunken lid was making me sick. Did I really do that? And recovering her with the bed sheet was a welcome relief. The shudder that comes from beneath the white fabric seems to agree. A second rush of adrenaline washes over my face. I can taste something metallic like blood, and my skin breaks out in a feverish bump. Bodies sometimes move after death, don't they? I read some. I read about that. Sometimes they move, and that's just what dead bodies do. I took a step back, but then another thought crossed my mind. What if she isn't dead after all? She knows I. She knows I tried to kill her. So do I have to finish the job now, or drop her off at a hospital on the way to prison? I'm shaking now. I can feel it, literally. See it from the way my hand quivers as I raise it. This is the part of the horror movie where everyone is telling me to stop, to run away. I've always hated that cheap jump scare, and here I am about to experience one up close, with my own eyes, so to speak. Thinking about eyes makes me feel lightheaded. I pushed it out of my mind. Slowly, I gripped the sides of the linen, never moving my gaze from the amorphous shape of my dead ex-lover. My future, everything, hinges on what's under this piece of fabric. Sucking in a mouthful of frosty air, I slid the sheet back down her body. Down their bodies. There. Right before me, like the world's most depraved magic trick, laid the bodies of every person I'd ever murdered in my nightmare. My family, my friends, my ex. Their pale bodies tangled, bloodless and naked. Each bearing a unique method of murder. I'd put them down with some missing limbs, others charred and burned. My brother blindly watches me, his face and teeth having been smashed flat with a garbage compactor. This time I did not scream. Instead, I was overcome with the dizzying sense that I was now standing on the edge of a cliff. You know that feeling you get, where you're so terrified of falling that you suddenly become sure that that's exactly what you're going to do? That was the feeling. And that's exactly what happens next. I fell face first in the necrotic pasta I'd created. I opened my mouth, either to scream or to breathe, I don't know, but instead found a waxy flesh of my mother's leg in my jaws. Vomit rushed out to meet it. I could feel the dead things all around me begin to spasm and writhe. I had clawed at my thigh, another at my back. I looked up in time to see that Susan was staring at me, her back arching up into a near sitting position before flopping down onto her stomach. Slowly, painfully, it seemed she dragged herself over the pile of moving corpses until our noses were almost touching. I wanted to hysterically, I wanted hysterically to push her away, to escape, but my arms felt weaker and somehow shorter, my body frozen in paralysis. In horror, I realized the lid of her removed eye was opening and closing like a gibbering mouth, and that was in that with each retraction, I could see into the private gore of her skull. I desperately tried to look away, but stopped. She's trying to tell me something. I could see her mouth moving, but I couldn't hear, as if we were mouths apart. Furiously, stared at her lips, trying to make out words. Anything. Around me, the blindly, the blindly searching hands had found the downy comforter and were in the process of pulling it up over us now in heavy jerking motions. To my left, the closet door slammed open and an avalanche of people I didn't recognize flooded out. I could feel the blood pulsing in my ears, but I still couldn't put Susan's words together. See? Pay the sea? The blanket was crawling over the top of her head now. Distantly, I realized that the other cadavers were speaking as well, their rotting lips whispering again too quietly for me to hear. No, I have to focus. In another second, I'm not going to see anything, and there it is. In that last moment, as the fabric fell over Susan's face and my head, I'd caught one word: Cindy. They were warning me. My wife was next to die. You were laughing in your sleep again, Cindy's voice just beside me makes me jump and nearly flip off the bed. Was that a dream too? Again, I find myself in our room, the ceiling fan silent and unmoving. I sit up and hold my face in my hands. How much more of this can I take? Did I kill her, or didn't I? Guilt is still hanging over me like a corpse, and I'm not sure if this is yet another dream or not. Cindy's burying her face in her pillow, looking like she'd just woken up from a nightmare herself. It's obvious she's feeling sick, and there's the distant twang of vomit leaping from her hair. But her hearing was back. The worst was behind her again, at least for now. Did I say anything? I asked this, but I didn't listen to the answer. I know what she's going to say because we've had this conversation before. Yeah, you said Susan a few times. A jolt ripples through me, but I do my best to hide it from my face. Usually there is only the laughing, more of a snicker, really. But this time, I'd said her name. In the distance, I could hear sirens whirling. Were they meant for me? I leaned over and gave, I leaned over and gave Cindy the best side hug I could manage, kissing her forehead. Oh, right. That was Susan from work. Her father just died, and I've been thinking about the funeral. It's a bad lie, but it's better than the truth. I'm going to get a drink. Want anything? She shook her head miserably, and I headed for the kitchen. For for a good few moments, I stared dumbly at the cell phone in my hand, building up the courage for what I wanted to do. I can call Andrew. He still has Susan's number, and I can call her, and I can go back to sleep. This is so stupid. You know that. So why are you doing this? If I had to face the possible unthinkable, I wasn't about to do it alone. I got a tall glass from the cupboard, sloshed a helping hand of vodka into it, and filled the rest with orange juice, dolefully kicking back a mouthful. I turned back to the problem at hand. I dialed his number. One dial tone, two dial tones. Come on, buddy. I know it's the middle of the night, but you have to sense that urgency I'm sending through this phone, right? It rang three more times and then went to voicemail. Frustrated, I called again. Still no answer. I stopped hitching in a breath. Now that I think about it, when was the last time I talked to you, man? With dawning horror, I realized I hadn't spoken to him in over a month. Not him, not my family, neither. In a panic, I dialed the numbers of every person I cared about, everyone that I had dreams about with mounting dread. Not a single person I knew answered the phone. And the strangers that did, they claimed they didn't know who I was talking about, that the number must have been changed. Others came back disconnected. So I had done it then. Murder everyone I'd ever cared about. But why? And surely there must have been police investigations. Someone must have found a connection between a massacred family and their only remaining son. But then why don't I remember anyone contacting me? Am I really that sick of a fuck? Shock overwhelms me, and I crumple to the ground, taking my empty glass with me. Numbly, I try to sit up and realize that I can't. It's starting. This must be it. I'm losing control of my body. Lying back down, I roll my eyes in the direction of the phone. I have to call the police. I can't hurt another person, but the cell phone looks like it's miles away. I giggle to myself at the absurdity of this and reach for it anyway. My arm stretches like taffy, and there's a noise from the hallway. It's Cindy. Oh, God. I have to warn her. Whatever's happening to me is almost complete. She has to run. God, I can't stop this monster inside of me. Cindy, run for help. The words, the words form as a spittle on my lips, ind- indistinct and bursting on the P's. I try to focus on the pink blur of her pajamas when, without warning, she falls to the ground in a fit of retching. No, not now. You can't get sick now. I need you to run. The world feels tilted on its axis and my body is impossibly heavy. One moment, everything seems frozen in place, and the next, she's on top of me. I can feel the heat of her breath, the sour taste of bile cloying in the air, and the heavy belch she vomits a thick stream across my face, soaking into my shirt, and coagulated in
Coagulating.
fuck you in my red hair. I watch as it runs down the side of my side of side and pulls next to the glass. The glass. The date her pills would ship. I'd made a mistake. Had that been the arrival date? She must have known I was a killer. She was doing the right thing. The world is growing dim, and I feel like I'm floating in a cold river. Ah, breathing is becoming less and less natural for me, less important. She's looking at me now, her face completely devoid of expression. With my last breath, I prefer to whisper, "Thank you." But then I see it, a cut across her palm. It's something so simple, so mundane, but I can hear the click of understanding and as as realization falls into place. The killings won't stop. I'd spent years of my life trying to escape my body to travel across the world as freely as a gust of wind. It had never occurred to me that I'd actually succeeded in more. I'd heard it was called dream walking, actually living inside another's dream, but that would be the ultimate freedom. That would be the God ticket, I muttered, barely audible. She stops only for a moment and then leans forward, her blonde hair cascading over my face. And at first, I think she's going to kiss my forehead. But instead, her lips close around my right eye. Done.
So, what do you think about it?
It's alright.
Yeah. So basically, the guy was astral projecting into other people's bodies carrying out murders. If I'm understanding correctly, right?
Yes. Basically, it's a mindfuck creepypasta in which there is, in which he's now in his wife's mind and he's about to kill himself, then it's just going to kind of continue over and over again.
Ah, so that's why she ordered the pill. So she's going to kill himself, then kill. He's going to kill. She's going to kill him, and then she's going to kill herself. Hence the pills.
What? Oh, I didn't think that far. I just assumed that it was just something that happened since birth. So he's a child. He's been trying to teach himself to do this. So it starts with him possessing his mother, going astral projecting to his mother. His mother bites his father's eye out. And then all that stuff happens. Then it moves on to another family member biting his mother's eye out, or whatever kind of suicidal things that are going on. Not biting someone's eye out, but basically, okay, I astral project myself to my mother. My mother kills my father in this form of way. Okay, now I astral project myself, stealing my mother, and I throw my brother inside a garbage compact. Then I I sleepwalk and kill my mother, and then from that point on, I I kill Cindy by biting her eye out and all that crazy stuff, and then now he's astral projecting to his current wife,
Yeah.
who is going to now kill him, which yeah, and so now he's astral projecting inside of her, so now he's going to infinitely be dreaming because he's dead, and the murders will kind of continue going. So yeah, kind of mind fuck.
Yeah. So he never really gets the piece of not murdering. I wonder what drove him to murder though.
He tried to astral project themselves, and then he just started having murderous dreams. If someone, I don't know. As far as I'm thinking about it, what he's doing is he's interested in wanting to be able to control his dreams. So he manages to do it, but he doesn't know he's managing to control his dreams at all. He just knows that he's having weird dreams, and after a certain degree, his dreams start to realize that he's in fact in a dream, and they start to twist and get darker and darker. And as he's in the dream that he already knows he's in, he wakes up and all that good stuff. But by the time he wakes up, he already did the devilish deed, or the nightmares deed rather. So he's like, oh, and he feels like, oh, well, I can control my dream. Oh, I'm having a nightmare. Oh no, my brother died. Wake up. All right, I'm just fine. And then fast forward. Oh no, why do I have this kind of dream? That's kind of weird. And then he's just like, oh, okay, I haven't talked to these people in so long. I'm just now realizing this. So he just now figured out, oh, I'm actually killing people.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, so I guess since he realized it and he tried to avoid it, his astral projection, maybe it was some sort of him versus, uh, his subconscious versus him. So his conscious, now that he's conscious of, oh my God, I'm killing people, his subconscious astral projected itself into Cindy. So, murders will continue. And, I figure even if police officers kill her also, his astral projection will just go into someone else's dream. Think of Freddy Krueger. Only, not burnt alive or anything. More so losing control of your subconscious self. That's it for me.
So out of 10, what do you rate this creepypasta?
I'll give it a nice 7. I mean, unfortunately, I've been what's the word? I've been trained to believe creepypastas are supposed to be scary, which in fact is untrue. This is creepy. This is mindfuck, and but most people like to read those really scary ones. So I've been trained to look for the scary. But as I told you, I don't get scared from reading. So yeah,
That didn't really scare me. It was just really fucked up.
yeah, it was. But yeah, that's it. It's not scary pastas. It's creepy pastas.
It wasn't creepy either.
It was kind of messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, it like not just because it's not scary, not creepy or anything. Maybe it's gory. Maybe it's mind fuck. Maybe it's kind of one of those kind of deals. That doesn't make it any less of a creepy pasta, I guess you can say. But I gave it a 7 because there is. It's not short. It's not a Harry Potter book either, and it kind of it's really descriptive. I like details, and let's see, how would I say? I mean, there's good build up, and then you don't really know what's going on. Like I'm reading the damn thing, and I didn't really know what was going on up until the end, and it still leaves a lot of questions as to what's going on.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was descriptive, but it could have went a little bit more in detail on the background of why he called it the God ticket. I mean, he just said it was astral projection, but some people don't know what the fuck astral projection is.
Oh well, to people who do know, I guess the reason he called it the God ticket is because it's immortality, and he's controlling people. Now, granted, he's controlling people unwillingly because I'm killing people. I don't want to do this. Well, you're immortal now, and you're pretty much death. At least that's what I got from it. It's like, as soon as you realize, oh my God, I can live forever. Even if my physical body is dead, I'm ultimately immortal. So the God ticket, I guess. So I was trying to. Sorry, I was thrown. Basically, my entire rationale with the story was completely thrown off its rocker because the very first thing was my wife's going to kill herself in 5 to 7 days. Turns out it only took one night for him to kill himself. Which I use that term loosely because I'm not sure if Cindy was also I'm not sure if Cindy was possessed by his astral projection, quote unquote, or she was just murdering him. But like I said, I guess he called it the God ticket because he's not going to die. This is me again assuming. I can't compare him to anyone else like Jeff the Killer or anyone because I have not read any of those nor seen them really. But yeah, there was not too much blood and gore. Well, there was that one moment, but again, they used he was in a dream scenario, so it wasn't like profuse blood for no reason. He was having a fucked up nightmare. Or really killing people. Really up to the reader to figure out. I don't know. It kind of has a Umineko feel to it, like who did it? Was it him? Maybe it wasn't him. Maybe
because reading the comments on the website, someone pointed out that basically what's going on is he isn't the killer technically.
Mm-hmm.
He astral projected into his wife's dream, Cindy. And Cindy was dreaming about killing Susan. Because remember, she said that he was saying Susan's name in his sleep. And in the dream when he killed Susan, he said his hair was blonde. But then when his wife vomited on him, his hair was red.
Yes.
So that leaves a lot of questions.
Well, there you go. So he's kind of, well, there you go. Basically, he's possessing people. Let's just use that word. If you don't know what astral projecting is, he's possessing other people. He's a spirit being jumping into people's bodies and doing it. So he basically been practicing, quote unquote, astral projection or possession, and there you go. He learned it, and he didn't realize he learned it. There you go. People's dreams are becoming reality, I guess you can almost say. Or doesn't explain the whole murdering his brother and shit like that. But it doesn't explain his past accidental murders, but it does kind of explain the current murder, I guess you can say. So I mean, it was different. So compared to what I normally hear, the popular ones, Sonic EXE, Slenderman, things like that. I've actually never heard of the Slenderman one nor Jeff the Killer. I haven't heard of a lot of them, or at least no, I probably have heard a lot of them. I just never retained a lot of them. The only one I really retained was Sonic EXE, and that was just pure accident, to be honest. Because I heard, Sonic EXE and Lost Silver, because they're video game related, and I play games, so those are the only ones I really retained. Slenderman doesn't really count as a game. It started as a mod and then became its own thing. So I don't really count that as a full-on game. But I'll give it a 7 because it's not what I traditionally hear or read. I'm gonna go here because I don't really read.
Well, I'll give it a solid. I don't know. It's a 6.5 for me. Because one, there's some grammar errors in the creepypasta that was kind of like it'll detract you from it.
So it depends if you're truly trying to get creeped out. But again, you had me read something, and I don't get creeped out by reading. I was going to say I lack imagination whilst reading, unfortunately.
So
like, I imagine a scene if I'm reading something. That's always been my issue. So but that's just me. You know, I guess some people, maybe yourself, maybe you can envision things while reading. I mean, I'm not saying you, but I heard women like to read some of their pornographic porn.
oh, you're talking about like 50 Shades of Grey?
Well, also not any porn novel.
I'm not into that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Some women can read and really get off to it. I'm gonna need myself a damn video.
Okay, we're going off on topic now.
I'm just saying, you were acting like I was gonna be so creeped out by this. No, I cannot put an image in my head while reading.
Well, I didn't act like you were gonna get creeped out by it. It's just the fact that I didn't. Well, we didn't pre-read it before doing it. We just went to the forum and saw highest ranked creepypastas at the moment, and that was one of them, the God Ticket. So at this point, let read the creepypasta yourselves. A link is in the description bar for the creepypasta, and comment what did you guys interpret. Am I saying it right? Interpret. Wait, what? Anyway, what you guys get from the damn creepypasta. Let's try to get the video to 15 likes. If we can get to 15 likes, we might do another creepypasta. I don't know.
That's very ambitious of you, but okay.
But if if you want me to do it, I'll do it. If you want him to do it, he'll do it. Just comment who you want to do. When you like it, comment who you want to do it. Okay, and also make sure you kind of give us your interpretation of the creepypasta, because it still seems like a lot of questions are left in the air about it. So until then, guys, we'll see you in the next video. Anything you want to say?
No, not really. Just subscribe and stuff. I won't say for more of this because I don't know if you'll get more of this.
Exactly. Just subscribe for good content.
Yeah, good content. Yeah.
Fuck you, man. Bye, guys.